Alright, hey everyone, this is Pliny the Welder. I thought I'd show my face for the first time and just let you know what's coming up on the channel. I'd hoped to have a Monster Hunter World piece examining grinding in games up this week, but for whatever reason it just didn't happen. So I had to go back, rewrite the whole thing, and do kind of just a general analysis of the game, looking at its combat, its world design, its narrative, and of course its like RPG mechanics and its grinding. I hope to have that up in the next couple of days. In the meantime, Destiny 2 had another developer blog post that details some sandbox changes that are coming that I think have a chance to really improve the gameplay going forward. I hope you'll check back this week for Monster Hunter World, and today, let's take a look at that. Thanks. So I'm currently working on the Monster Hunter World analysis. It'll be out in a couple of days. It ended up being much harder than I thought. It became a long piece on how deep RPG mechanics should be. But in the meantime, the Destiny 2 developer blog post had something I had to address. As I said in a couple of my previous videos, Destiny 2's problems are so deep and fundamental that I think it was easy to lose sight of the fact that the core gameplay was just absolutely inferior to Destiny 1. Well, by teasing their Go Faster update, I think they might be going a long ways towards fixing one of those core baked-in problems. In my Destiny 2 analysis video, I continually made reference to the fact that D2 significantly slows the player down. This was obviously an effort to make D2 PvP feel more like a standard Call of Duty match and less like Titanfall. This change was disastrous. Whereas in the first game, damage mitigation was often accomplished by movement and jumping, in D2 the player is so slow and grounded that your only real option is breaking line of sight with the enemies. There are few things less fun than hiding behind a rock until your health bar recharges. It was a terrible, disastrously stupid change made for no reason other than to make their lackluster PvP game more like other lackluster PvP games. Let's look at what they have to say now. Our goals for this round are to provide individual players with more hero moments by increasing overall speed and mobility, increasing the amount of supers you charge to demolish your enemies, and increasing the frequency and impact of our most montage-worthy power weapons, especially in the Crucible. Here's what we're doing. All three glides, plus catapult and strafe lift, have been retuned and buffed to make them more unique and faster. The mobility stat has had its range expanded and been completely retuned as well. In short, everyone gets faster and the high end is higher. The player's ground speed cap has been increased, allowing for faster total movement regardless of how you may get there. Alright, this is an important change and when implemented will drastically alter how the game feels. I hope they go all out and make the game even faster than the original, but even if they just get back to the movement system of D1, it'll make the game instantly more fun to simply play. Destiny 2 made all of the zones larger. It made the strikes take place on tremendous maps that require a bunch of running, and then made the player move across that larger space slower than they had. The inverted spire in particular feels like a jogging simulator more than a strike. Jumping used to be fun in Destiny 1. I mained a warlock in the first game, and the moment I started playing the beta, I turned to my wife and I said, "This is absolutely terrible." I hated the jumping and slow speed so much that I did not play anything other than a hunter in D2. That's a big problem, man. Only the hunter feels even remotely similar to playing Destiny 1, and even there, it's only in comparison to the other Destiny 2 classes. The other big change on offer here is drastically reduced super cooldown. Here, look. Now, here's something I find kind of amazing. Almost all of the promotional material for Destiny games features supers. It's the one thing that sets it apart from other shooters. It's the best animation work they do, the most unique gameplay mechanic, and the one and only thing that makes playing one class different from another. So at what point did the development team sit down and say, "Hey guys, I figured out what would make our Space Magic Ninja Wizard game more fun. Using supers way less often." It just blows my mind and is further proof that unlike any other art form, the producers of games have a less firm grasp on their game than the consumers. Now, I'm sure people who mainly played PvP, which is the significantly smaller segment of the game, incidentally, complained about supers and grenades. But those people wanted separate PvP balancing, not huge changes to the core systems of the game. Even those people didn't want to not have their supers or grenades when playing the Raider strikes. So this is another step in the right direction. I mean, I occasionally play PvP, but I really have very little interest in it. If I'm going to play a PvP shooter, I'll play a game that does it really, really well, like Titanfall or Battlefield or Overwatch, so I'm not going to get into those changes. Aside from TLDR, there will be a ridiculous amount of power ammo and matches going forward. The other thing of note for most players is that they plan on using the reworked mod system, which they've pushed back to an unannounced date, to address ability and grenade cooldowns. That's fine if they get it right. Ultimately, I want my grenade as much as I had it in D1. I want exotics that allow me 2 grenades or ridiculously fast grenade cooldowns so that I feel like I'm playing Destiny again. There are all the usual weapon buffs. Pulse rifles will eventually not suck. They also say they're looking at the weapon system. Now, I am not sure what needs to be looked at this point, frankly. The new system sucks ass and needs to go. Period. End of sentence. It was a colossal mistake and it needs to be ended. Some people seem to like having 2 primaries. I think that's pointless and idiotic, but whatever. If they want to save face by keeping the second primary, simply have 4 slots. Kinetic, Elemental, Secondary, Power. Map Secondary to down on the D-pad while holding your primary weapon, or Elemental to that. Or use a weapon wheel by long pressing a bumper. Just do something, because no matter how hard you buff shotguns and fusion rifles, they will never be better than rocket launchers. Admit your mistake and return to the old weapon system, please. And then we'll be playing a slightly crappier D1 with less content and less interesting strikes, but at least the core mechanics will be fun again. But this was a sequel. I know they won't do anything major to D3, which, I mean, at this point I don't think I'll buy, unless they win me back to this game. But going forward, they actually need a change that no one ever talks about anymore. When the first game released, I felt there needed to be much more differentiation between the classes. I felt that the Titan needed to be an actual tank who took significantly more damage, that the Hunter needed to have evasion and stealth options while being the primary damage class, and that Warlocks needed to be support characters. And in D1, those roles were there, although they were toned down so much that ultimately they didn't feel really all that different. The only time the classes really mattered was when you were raiding. I mean, in raids, most people chose Defenders, Res Warlocks, and Invisibility Hunters because during those raids, those skills actually mean the difference between success and failure. D2 took that and completely eliminated it, trading the ability to res for a weak small radius heal, making the Titan a damage class, and removing Hunter invisibility outside of your just ridiculously long cooldown smoke grenade. Destiny mainly appealed to people who wanted a high-quality shooter RPG. Eliminating the RPG aspects was never going to convert casual Call of Duty players to longtime Destiny players. All it was going to do was completely alienate people like me. I want a game with some depth. Give me more depth, Bungie. These changes are going in the right direction at least, towards fixing the incomprehensible mess they've made of gameplay, but it does nothing to address the fact that after 4 years, I'm getting bored of that gameplay. I'm bored of the same enemies over and over. I'm bored of the same classes. I'm bored of the same amount of depth. You need to give me new systems to learn and new mechanics to master. New classes to become expert at using. Get the gameplay back to D1 and then get all hands on deck making the game something that feels new. Alright, see you next time.